Never take advice from someone who isn't where you want to be. Everyone has an opinion about your business and your life, but if they haven't accomplished what you're chasing, then their opinion is nothing more than noise. If you keep listening to unproven naysayers, you'll start living their fears instead of your own ambition, and you'll end up as stuck and as small as they are. Colonel Harland Sanders heard no 1,009 times before he finally got a yes. He was over 50 years old, broke and sleeping in his car, knocking on door after door, trying to sell his fried chicken recipe. 1,009 restaurants told him his idea was worthless. They laughed at the notion that a retired gas station cook could build a franchise. He was too old. It was too late. It would never work. Most people would have given up after a dozen rejections, but he got 1,000 and he refused to quit. He believed in his recipe even when nobody else did. Finally, at age 65, Sanders found one restaurant owner who took a chance on him. That one yes birthed Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the franchise took off. Within a few years, Colonel Sanders had over 600 KFC franchises and would sell his company for $2 million, becoming a legendary entrepreneur. He endured more rejection and naysaying than almost anyone, and he proved every last doubter wrong by persevering. He felt that sting of every rejection, but he used it to keep going. And that's the same pressure that you might be feeling right now. People telling you, no, you can't do it. Sanders heard the same thing 1,009 times, and he won. What about you? When I was 19, I had to make the hardest decision of my life. I was a co-owner in a tiny software startup making only $300 a month, while my university friends were accepting six-figure corporate jobs. And I was this close to quitting on my business. In fact, one night I called my partner and I said, I quit. I can't keep doing this. I feel worthless. I was broke, embarrassed, and convinced I wasn't good enough to be an entrepreneur. I thought I made a huge mistake turning down the safe jobs. I was living at home, eating beans out of a can, too ashamed to tell my friends how bad it was. I was afraid I'd never make it. I had hesitation, fear, doubt. I lived it all. But the next morning I woke up and I realized I hadn't truly given it everything. Before I threw my dream away, I had to try one more thing. I asked myself, who has already built a successful software company? I knew I wasn't the first guy to face these problems before, so I studied Bill Gates and how he built Microsoft from nothing. I learned that Microsoft partnered with bigger companies to break into new markets. I figured if it worked for Gates, maybe it could work for me. So I stopped trying to do everything alone and started modeling someone who had made it. And soon after, I closed my first big deal, $13,500 in my bank, more money than I'd ever seen in my life. And more importantly, I finally had a strategy that I could repeat. I wasn't a failure after all, I just needed the right model to follow. So I went from being hopeless to now having energy because I saw proof that my business could work. I learned that whenever I'm lost, I can find someone who has done it before and learn from them. And that realization saved my company and set the course for my entire career. Even later on, when I struggled, I kept looking for successful entrepreneurs for guidance. I read stories of successful entrepreneurs and realized that they had doubted themselves too, just like I was doubting myself. It made me think, wow, these famous entrepreneurs were scared, just like I am now. And if they could push through the self-doubt and the outside criticism, so could I. And every time I modeled success and surrounded myself with belief, I found the strength to keep going. Now, you might be thinking, okay, sounds great, Evan, but how do I actually do this? How do I find those who've done it before me? And what about the naysayers in my life who are always chirping in my ear telling me that I'm wrong? In fact, one of our subscribers, Jeremiah Williams, asked this exact question. How do you find those who've gotten it done before and push away the naysayers and the ones who don't have a resume and are always recommending the opposite of what you should be doing? Now, maybe you're wondering the same thing right now. Maybe you feel surrounded by people who just don't get it, who second guess your every move. You might even wonder, what if they're right and I'm the crazy one? So first of all, consider who has given you this so-called advice. Are they living the life that you want? Have they built a business, taken a risk, achieved the dream? If not, why on earth would you let them choose your destiny? The truth is, people who have never stepped into the arena will always shout from the cheap seats about what you should do or shouldn't do. It's easy to be a critic when you've risked nothing. And here's the thing, our brains are wired to overvalue negative voices. Psychology calls it the negativity bias. We feel the sting of a critic's words more powerfully than the joy of someone's praise. One harsh comment from a naysayer can echo in your head louder than 10 compliments from supporters. Studies even show that negative information grabs our attention and even seems more truthful to us than positive news. So think about that. Just because someone says, It'll never work. With some level of conviction, your brain might believe them by default, but you can't let a built-in bias run your life. You need to recognize that just because their negativity feels loud and real, it doesn't mean that it's true. It just means human brains latch onto fear. So logically, if a person has no results to back up their opinions are hollow. As the saying goes, never take advice from someone who isn't where you want to be. Why? Because people who haven't achieved your goal lack the experience and understanding to guide you. Their advice is often based on their fears, their limits, not yours. Jeremiah, you mentioned these naysayers don't have the resume. Exactly. They have not walked the path that you're walking, so their map is useless to you. In fact, following advice from unqualified people is a sure way to get unqualified results. If you let people with no vision impose their vision on you, you'll end up with no vision at all. So, what do? You flip it. You seek out the people who have done it, even if you don't know them personally. You can learn from them. Read the biography of an entrepreneur that you admire. Watch interviews or top 10 rules. I've made lots of them for you guys. Join online communities or local meetups where winners are hanging out. Surround yourself with perspectives that come from experience and success, because here's another truth. One example of success destroys 1,000 options of failure. The moment you find even one person who achieved what you want, the naysayers lose their power over you. They can't say it's impossible with a straight face anymore. That person is living proof. So instead of trying to convince negative people, go find inspiring people. Let their victories drown out the negativity and speak possibility into you. That's how you push away naysayers. You crowd them out with even louder voices of confidence and success. So let's dive into how to do this step by step. How do you push away the naysayers? How do you protect your dream and keep moving forward? Let's break it down. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe. Step number 1, model the people who have done it. The fastest way to silence the haters is to let the results speak. And if you don't have the results yet, borrow someone else's. Find the heroes of your industry. Find the entrepreneurs or the creators who have accomplished what you aspire to do. Go in detail, study their path, learn from the best instead of listening to the rest. This has been a core of my philosophy from almost day one. I call it modeling success. Find someone who's made it and learn how they did it. Why reinvent the wheel? Their journey leaves clues for you. So read their books, listen to their talks, dissect their strategies, watch their videos. When I was struggling myself for a company, I told the story about Bill Gates and how he built Microsoft. He built it by partnering with IBM. That insight gave me my strategy. You can do the same with whomever inspires you. If you want to build a revolutionary car company, right? Study Elon Musk's journey with Tesla. If you want to create a media empire, study Oprah's early years and how she persisted after being fired and told that she was unfit for TV. Whatever your goal is, someone out there has achieved something similar. Use them as your virtual mentor. I call them aspirational mentors. Ask yourself, how did they deal with critics? What tactics helped them win? What beliefs carried them through? And this isn't just anecdotal, it's backed by actual data. According to research, 93% of young entrepreneurs believe in the need to interact with mentors who have been there and done that. They know its value. And even more striking, a study by Cabbage Inc. found 92% of small business owners credit mentors with directly improving their business's growth and survival. Did you catch that? 92%. Almost everyone who succeeds has guidance from someone who's ahead of them. And if you look at failures, the absence of mentorship is often a factor. One report noted that 1/3 of successful entrepreneurs had a mentor or support network, compared to only 14% of entrepreneurs with failed businesses. Those numbers tell the story. If you learn from those who know, you dramatically increase your chances of success. So, your action step, right after this video, identify one person who's achieved your biggest goal. It could be a famous founder. It could be someone in your community who's a few steps ahead of you. Commit to studying their journey this week. It might mean reading a book they wrote or watching an interview they did or even reaching out to them for direct advice. And don't say, they'd never talk to me. Have you tried? Successful people often love to share advice with bold, coachable up-and-comers. Even if they don't respond, you still have their interviews, their biographies, their videos, their lessons available to you. Plug into that wisdom. Fill your mind with their experiences instead of your neighbor's doubts. When you're busy implementing a proven strategy you learn from a winner, you won't have time to worry about loser talk. Step number 2, cut out the negative noise. You must protect your mind and your environment. That means distancing yourself from the people who only bring pessimism and doubt into your life. I know this can be tough. Sometimes the biggest naysayers are your friends. They're your parents. They're your siblings. They're your colleagues. You don't necessarily need to cut them out of your life completely, though in some cases that might be a good idea. But you do need to cut off their influence on their opinions. Stop seeking input from people who only criticize or discourage you. If you have an idea and you already know Uncle Bob is going to roll his eyes and list 10 reasons it won't work, don't ask Uncle Bob. He's not on the invite list for your dream. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. This is a powerful rule that I follow. Don't share big dreams with small minds. It's not an insult, it's a filtering mechanism. Some people in your circle simply don't have the capacity to see what you see, and that's okay. But you have to be wise about it. If every time you announce a new project, you are met with, are you sure? Sounds risky. Maybe you shouldn't do that. That chips away at your confidence, and over time, it can poison your mindset. In psychology, there's a concept of social support and its effect on self-belief. Lack of support or outright negativity from those around you can literally make you feel devalued and full of self-doubt. Studies show that people who feel unsupported by their peers and family tend to experience lower self-esteem and start doubting their capabilities. So, in other words, constant negativity from others can trick you into believing negative things about yourself that are not true. So what do you do if you're surrounded by naysayers? Set boundaries. Limit the exposure you have to their doubt. If it's family who mean well but always worry, you might say, thank you for your concern, but I've got to follow my path. I'll keep you posted on the good news. Then stop discussing your business with them. Change the subject. Seek feedback from someone more qualified instead. Remember, you do not need everyone's approval to pursue your dream. You need your approval. And you likely need a few qualified mentors or allies that we've already talked about. But you definitely don't need the peanut gallery chiming in, right? It's okay to nod, smile, and internally reject their negativity. You don't have to argue or try to convince them, just ignore them. As one entrepreneur bluntly put it, if someone says you don't know what you're doing, cut them out. There are plenty of supportive people out there, so don't waste time with haters. Now, that may sound harsh, but it's true. Life is too short to have dream killers in your ear 24/7. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, not pull you down. And that brings us to the flip side of this. Curate positive input. It's not enough to eliminate the negative. You have to replace it with encouragement and belief. This might mean finding new friends or fellow entrepreneurs who get it. If you don't have anyone like that around you locally, find them online. Join a mastermind group, a startup founders forum, even the comment sections of channels like this. There are thousands of like-minded entrepreneurs out there who are also pushing ahead and fighting their own doubt. Connect with them. Share your struggles and wins. The difference it makes is night and day. When you hear, you can do this from someone who understands the grind, it propels you forward. When you hit a wall and a fellow entrepreneur says, hey, keep going, I've been there, suddenly that wall doesn't seem so high. We human beings are profoundly influenced by those that we regularly interact with. There's a famous quote by Jim Rohn, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether or not that number 5 is exact, the principle holds. Your environment shapes you. So choose your 5 or however many wisely. Would you rather be the average of 5 doubters who have achieved nothing or 5 go-getters who are crushing it? The choice is yours. So make a plan. Identify the negative influences that you need to minimize and identify at least one positive influence that you can add. It could be as straightforward as spending less time in that toxic group chat and more time watching this YouTube channel or being around young entrepreneurs that inspire you, or cutting out the weekly rant session with your cynical friend and instead scheduling a brainstorming call with a business buddy. These might seem like small moves, but over time, they radically change your mental atmosphere. When you normalize success and positivity around you, the naysayers' voices fade into irrelevance. They become background noise that's easy to ignore because your foreground is filled with possibility and action. Also, if you want to take real action after watching this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write down your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description to go grab it. Let's start building some real momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Step number 3, use naysayers as your fuel, not as feedback. Here's a little secret. The best entrepreneurs and achievers in any field don't just ignore their naysayers, they use them. They transmute that negative energy into motivation. So think about it. When someone says, you can't do it, you have a choice. Let it discourage you or let it light a fire underneath you. Choose the fire. Let their doubt become your rocket fuel. Say to yourself, all right, watch me. Not out of ego, but out of determination. One of my favorite examples of this is Michael Jordan. Early in his life, Jordan faced a huge naysayer setback. He was cut from his high school varsity basketball team as a sophomore. They told him he wasn't good enough to play basketball. Effectively a naysayer telling a 15-year-old Michael Jordan, you're not varsity basketball material. That rejection devastated Jordan. He went home and he cried in his room. But then what did he do? He used it. He channeled that embarrassment and frustration into practice. Jordan woke up every morning before school to practice harder and make sure he'd never get cut again. He famously said that seeing the list without his name on it was the best thing that happened to him because it drove him to improve. By the next year, he grew taller, he trained like a beast, he made the varsity team, and the rest is history. He became one of the greatest athletes of all time. Would that have happened if he didn't face that early doubt? Who knows? But Jordan himself credits that experience as fuel for his fire. He needed to prove that coach wrong, and in doing so, he unlocked his own greatness. You can do this on a smaller scale every day. Next time someone says you can't, take it personally, not in a wounded way, but in a motivating way. Think, I'm going to work twice as hard and make sure their words look ridiculous. Some of the best success stories come from the desire to prove the doubters wrong. As one motivational speaker put it, the greatest revenge is massive success. You don't need to literally get revenge on anyone, but the point is to channel any anger or frustration you feel from criticism into your work. Let it drive you to be better. There's even research in psychology about this. It's related to a concept called psychological reactance. When someone tells you that you can't do something, it often increases your desire to do exactly that thing. It triggers a defiant motivation. Oh yeah? Watch me. So use that phenomenon to your advantage. Instead of letting a you can't comment make you slump down, let it straighten up your spine. When you're grinding through a tough day, remember the people who said that you'd fail and allow yourself a little inner smirk as you push harder. They expect you to quit. Wouldn't it be fun to prove them wrong? Turn it into a game if you have to. However, there's an important caveat here. Don't make naysayers your sole focus. The goal is not to live your life to impress or prove things to negative people. That can become toxic in its own way. Rather, we're going to use their doubt as a little spark, but keep your focus on your vision and the positive reasons why you're doing this. You're not building your dream just to spite somebody else. You're building it because it matters deeply to you. The naysayer fuel is just a bonus boost on days when you need that extra little kick. Ultimately, the biggest fuel should be you and your belief in yourself and the impact that you want to have on the world. But hey, if on a cold morning, remembering a critic's words gets you out of bed and into action, take it. That's turning negativity into productivity. And here's one more example. The Wright brothers, when they set out to invent the airplane, most of the world's experts and media openly mocked them. A well-known New York Times piece in 1903 questioned their sanity for thinking they could fly a machine heavier than air. Rather than fold and quit, the Wright brothers doubled down on their experiments on the sands of Kitty Hawk. Within months of that ridicule, they achieved the first powered flight in human history. Imagine the satisfaction and validation they felt when the world realized these crazy bicycle mechanics had done the impossible. They proved every expert wrong. That's the power of persistence in the face of naysayers. So today's ridicule from them can become tomorrow's applause if you keep going. So the next time someone laughs at your idea, treat it as a milestone. You might be onto something truly innovative or ambitious. Wear it almost as a badge of honor. People are laughing? Good. It means I'm dreaming big. And as long as you believe and put in the work, their laughter will eventually sound like ignorance. So, action step for you. Write down one negative comment or one piece of advice that someone has given you that really got under your skin somehow. Then write a promise to yourself right next to it. I will show them what I'm made of by doing X, and use it as a mini contract. And whenever you're tired or you're discouraged, revisit that and let it remind you that you have something to prove. Not really to them, but to yourself, that you won't be swayed by external doubt, that you can and will rise to the challenge. Step number 4, surround yourself with belief. Okay, we've cut out the negativity and we're using any lingering negativity as motivation. The final piece is to immerse yourself in a culture of belief. Humans are social creatures, so we can lean on each other for cues about what is possible. Deliberately build an environment physically in your environment here, and mentally that breeds confidence and growth. That means actively seeking out people and inputs that reinforce the identity that you want to have. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, hang around other entrepreneurs. Connect with people who have that can-do spirit. When other people who are hustling, creating, solving problems, they're around you. You start absorbing that energy and that mindset. Their belief rubs off onto you. You are borrowing belief. Think about the difference. In one scenario, you spend your evening with a few friends who complain about their jobs and say that your business idea sounds too risky. And in another scenario, you spend the evening at a meetup of startup founders or on a Zoom call with a mastermind group, and everyone is sharing their tips on marketing and cheering each other's progress. That's a night and day difference. In which scenario do you think you'll leave feeling fired up versus feeling deflated, right? It's obvious. So intentionally curate your peer group. If your current friends aren't on the same wavelength as you, that's okay. You can still love them, but you might need to expand your circle. Find the people who get it. Even just one or two can make a huge difference in your life. When you hit a setback, a supportive peer will then say, that's just a hurdle. You've got this. Here's what I tried. Instead of, I told you so, maybe you should quit. One response moves you forward, the other one paralyzes you. Also, internally, fill your mind daily with positive educational content, podcasts, YouTube channels, a good one, right here, books. Let the voices of winners be the background music of your life. It's hard for self-doubt to dominate your thoughts if every day you're listening to interviews with successful people who also struggled but made it through. You start to normalize the idea that struggle is just part of the process, not a sign that you are terrible and doomed. You hear over and over how others push past doubters. That creates mental resilience. It's like mental armor against the naysayers. I personally still do this myself. I surround myself with stories and examples of greatness to keep me inspired. It's like you're having a shower every day. You do it regularly to stay clean, or in this case, to keep your mindset clean from skepticism. So here's a practical tip. Curate your social media for this purpose. Follow accounts that post motivational content, business tips, success stories. Mute or unfollow the people who complain or tear others down. Use the power of algorithms for good. Engage with content that uplifts you and educates you, and you'll soon see more of it. Soon, even your scrolling can become a mini coaching session rather than a comparison trap or negativity feed. I want you to literally engineer every aspect of your life to reflect belief, not doubt. Your 5 closest contacts, your media diet, your daily routine, make them align with the new, confident you. And let's not forget celebrating small wins. Building belief also comes from you proving to yourself that you're making progress. Every time you hit a little milestone, no matter how small, acknowledge it. Did you launch your website? Hey, you got your first sale? Awesome. Finish a prototype? Celebrate. Share it with those supportive people in your circle. Let them hype you up. This reinforces that you are on the right track and starts to drown out any remaining echoes of past naysayers. Success is the ultimate rebuttal to doubt. Even tiny successes start constructing an identity for yourself as someone who follows through. Each win is a brick in the wall, shielding you from the negative outside opinions. And over time, that wall becomes a fortress of unshakable self-belief. Remember, belief is contagious. When you carry yourself with conviction, you attract others who have it or want it. You'll notice fewer naysayers approach you because, frankly, they know their pessimism won't find that ear with you. And even if they do pipe up, it just bounces off the fortress that you've built for yourself. You'll find yourself almost pitying the naysayer because they're stuck in a negativity loop while you're out here making moves and surrounding yourself with positivity. And who knows, maybe one day, one of those former naysayers will come to you for advice once they see that you are succeeding. That's a full circle moment that often happens. By then, you won't even feel the need to say, I told you so. You'll just help them if you can, because you're operating from a place of confidence and generosity, not insecurity. So what are we going to do? Create an ecosystem of encouragement around you. Life will still have ups and downs, but when you're immersed in an environment of yes, you can, you become unstoppable. You've pushed the naysayers to the sidelines and you're playing center field with a team that wants you to win. And that changes everything. Look at what we've done here. You've learned to stop giving weight to unqualified opinions. You've learned to seek guidance from those with real experience. You've set boundaries against negativity and bolstered your surroundings with support and inspiration. You've turned doubts into determination. This is how you push away the naysayers, not with anger or fear, but with clarity, confidence, and action. You don't defeat naysayers by arguing with them. You defeat them by outgrowing them, by doing the very thing they said you couldn't do and doing it well. So now it's on you. You have everything you need to move forward despite the doubters. It might feel lonely at times, but remember, you are not actually alone. Every successful person you admire walked through a gauntlet of naysayers and obstacles. They felt what you feel, the pressure, the doubt, the temptation to quit, and they kept going. This is your turn to do the same. Your dream is worth it. Your future self is counting on you not to let it slip away because of a few negative voices. Those voices only have power if you hand it to them. So take it back. Protect it. Surround it with people who believe in it. And when you do get that yes, whether it's a sale, an investment, an opportunity, you'll realize all the naysaying was nothing but background noise. In fact, you might even thank them for motivating you to push harder. So go forward and build that thing they said you couldn't. Prove them wrong, sure, but most importantly, prove yourself right. Prove that your intuition about your dream was right all along. And as you take action and gain momentum, you'll notice something. The naysayers' voices fade, and your own inner voice grows stronger. And that voice says, I can do this. That's the one that matters. And it's getting louder every day you choose to believe. You've got this. Now step up and make it happen. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. If you want to learn how to avoid quitting when you're failing, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there. You feel like quitting because everything is going wrong. Failure hurts, it's frustrating, embarrassing, and it can shake your confidence. Psychologists say that a big reason failure feels so crushing is that we tie our success to our self-worth.